If you have been trying everything possible to break free from old patterns and limiting beliefs, stories, struggles that are keeping you stuck, then this video is for you. So you are in the right place, my friend. Today we are diving into how to reprogram your subconscious mind, and I'm going to be sharing one really special tool and the most important key foundations that you need in order to do this. So make sure you stick around till the end because there's going to be so many breakthroughs coming your way, and I can't wait to dive in and share these tools that have absolutely transformed my life so much over the last 8 years. Hey, welcome back to another video. My name is Kara Michelle and I'm here to help you live your truth. And this video specifically is going to help you break out of your current beliefs, your patterns, and your habits. So if you feel like, every single day you're going through the motions, it's the same old stories, the same old things happening. If you feel like you're constantly, attracting more situations that reaffirm your feelings of not being good enough or not being ready yet or deserving or anything like that. If you feel like you're trying to make these changes and trying to become a healthier or more positive version of yourself, and yet you keep getting stuck and pulled back into those old habits and you don't know how to break free, then this is going to be so helpful for you as well. Okay, so basically as we're breaking this down, we're looking at, here is the current place that you are, and then here's the ideal place that you want to be. And so it's really clear that there's a disconnect, right? And without getting too confusing, your present day self, the version of you who's watching this right now, the version of me who's standing here recording this right now, this present day version is really just a buildup of all of the past experiences and all of the past beliefs that have been created from those experiences. Does that make sense? Right? So my present day self is really just like a conglomeration of everything that's gone on in the past and how I've responded to it. So maybe like 5 years ago, who I was in that present moment was someone who was like riddled with anxiety, who felt extremely unworthy, who was, really identified to her traumas and her pain and her grief and her story. All of the things that had happened in my past had created this identity of who I was, right? This is all about your identity. When it comes to reprogramming the subconscious mind, your subconscious, if you think of it like a computer program and a software, it's like this programming, right? It's just here. This is how I see myself. These are the beliefs I have. This is, the habits, the daily actions that I take. These are all these things that I believe make up me. But it's really just a programming, and it's really just a combination of our past experiences. So what's so beautiful and so powerful, and what I hope you walk away with today, is the knowledge and the awareness that you can shift that programming. You can create a new programming. And that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you how to do. So now if we get super clear on, okay, this is where I'm at right now in the current moment, in my present moment, my current reality. This is who I am. This is what I believe. This is what I'm doing. This is how I see myself, how I talk to myself, how I show up in the world. I'm doing a lot of hand actions. Okay, you feel me? Are you here with me? This is the current self, and then we have the ideal self. So for me, if we again continue with that example of 5 years ago, Kara, who was struggling with all those things I mentioned, it didn't seem possible for me to have my own businesses or to have peace of mind. To be honest, that was a huge thing of I'll never be free of my anxiety. I'll never believe that I'm deserving or good enough. I'll never look in the mirror and like how I look unless I can change all these things first, right? There was such a big gap between my current and my ideal. So in order to start to bridge that gap, that's where we bring in these different tools, these different reprogramming techniques that allow you to start to see yourself as the new identity before you already are. And I have a video about that, sharing one of Neville Goddard's famous teachings. It looks like this. It'll be linked down below. I highly recommend checking that out after, because that's going to help solidify everything that I'm sharing here as well. So my current self at that time was very identified with all of those things and just believed this is destined. This is who I'm going to be forever. Whereas in reality, when I started to realize is I can make these shifts, and every single like act or every single choice towards something different is an act of self-love. And like every single choice that's bringing you towards your future, to your ideal self, that is an act of self-love. You're basically saying, you know what, I'm ready to leave this behind. Yes, this has been my habit or my pattern for years and years, and it's really painful or difficult to leave behind, or like I feel like it's just part of me, and I'm still gonna choose a different action today that's hopefully gonna break this pattern a little bit. So even simple scale, like I always said, you know, I need 12 to 14 hours of sleep a night because I'm a Taurus, I love to sleep, and always had low energy. I really clung to the identity, the fact that I need to sleep extremely long periods of time and I can't function on less than like 8 hours a night, which is wild. But I also believed I wasn't a morning person because of that. And so even though I truly identified and felt like, oh, I'm not a morning person, I made the conscious decision of, okay, my ideal self, my ideal habits is that I do wake up very early. I wake up at like, my ideal version of me wakes up at 5 a.m., you know, dives into meditation, yoga, like this nice morning routine before getting started, and like has already set this amazing foundation for their day by like 7 o'clock, you know, and is ready to get going with work or whatever. And my old self used to watch movies every single night, multiple movies. Like I would binge watch series and Netflix shows and stuff, and I spent a lot of my free time on things that didn't actually really help me in any way. And so my new self, my ideal self, I had to reprogram and tap into, okay, my new self is like a lot more conscientious of how they spend their time and their energy. So, you know, sometimes that might mean that I'm watching movies and just chilling and having that like relaxing zone out energy. But a lot of times, like, there are things I really love to be doing instead, and watching things that educate me, or reading books, or like spending time with people I love, or different kind of habits. So moral of the story, and hopefully these examples are just, they're very simple, but it's the same as like, okay, if you feel like you're really not good enough, you're insecure, and you don't like how you look in the mirror, you don't like what you bring to the world, okay, well, if you were your ideal self and you had those opposite beliefs, how would that version of you be showing up? And what would their daily thoughts look like, their daily actions look like, their daily habits? And that's where that video I just mentioned, Neville Goddard, Act As If, can help you translate to bridge the gap to get into that new ideal self. And as you start to shift the habits and those patterns, it's going to start training your brain in a new way to see yourself as, oh yeah, I actually can wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's still a bit of a struggle, but you know what? I'm doing it. Or, oh yeah, you know, like maybe there are some positive things I like about myself. Even if there's these things I want to change, I'm really starting to appreciate these things instead. And so you're constantly making those baby steps and progressing forward. So the most important things to take note of in order to do this, and in order to reprogram your subconscious mind the best way possible, is to clear out the potential blocks first. So these are your traumas, your past pains, your insecurities, your doubts, your unworthiness, your stories, and your distortions. These are all of the things that are like layering on top of you right now in this present moment. They're all the things from your past that you're still carrying. And I love to think of it as like you're carrying a backpack, and over the years, like, so you've had the same backpack since you were born, pretty much. Just see your baby self with a backpack on. And every single experience, every single trauma, every single time they felt like they weren't good enough for their parents or for their friends, every single time they doubted themselves or questioned themselves, felt unworthy, every single time that a belief or a story was created around, who they are, that is like a big rock that's getting put in the backpack. So you can imagine over your lifetime, how many rocks have you been piling up and carrying and adding to this identity and adding to this story of how you see yourself. And that's exactly why I use the word distortions here, is because all of these potential blocks, if we really want to get super technical, all of these are distortions. Every single belief you have about yourself, and even the way that you've interpreted your experiences, is based 100% on your own perception. So that makes it a distortion, right? It is a distorted view based on your own perception. So memories from my childhood where, my dad was super busy with work and didn't have that much time for me or my brother, and I created this belief that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't loved, that I had to, really do all these things in order to achieve and receive any kind of love. And that is just a distortion. There's absolutely no truth in that. It was just a perception, and it's the way I viewed my reality. The reality is my dad loved me. He was just busy with work trying to provide, because that was how he was showing his love and how he felt he needed to show up, right? So I've carried all these rocks, all these stories for so long and shaped my whole belief system around that, and it's distorted. So I now have the power and the ability to shift that and start to create the new one. And so this is where you hear me talk about it time and time again. Awareness, awareness, awareness. Because awareness is going to help you uncover these distortions and be the first step in breaking free and clearing out the potential blocks. What I mean by blocks is like they're blocking you from getting to this place. They're the potential blocks that are keeping you in your old identity. So as we clear that out, we're wiping the slate clean, we're taking those rocks out of our backpack, feeling lighter, feeling more and more our true self, seeing that, wait a minute, there is another possibility, there is another reality, there are other options for me in this world, and they start to feel more believable, more real, more possible. And then that's when you start to continue translating and showing up as that new version of you, because you're no longer weighed down anymore. So I actually have an amazing meditation to help you let go of the past, let go of these different things that you might be carrying. It will be linked down below. It looks like this. Make sure you check that out. It's really quick, but really powerful, and helps you shift that. And the most important thing, even if you've tried meditation before, or you have opinions about it, or you don't think it's going to work, or you can't meditate, whatever it is, firstly, that's a distortion. It is not true. So give it a try. And then secondly, your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. Your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. You can comment that down below. My brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. And I'm saying it so many times because this will change your life if you can let it settle in and if you can accept it. So if you see something right now, visually, in real life, versus if you close your eyes and visualize and imagine it and have the same physical reaction in terms of like you get excited while you're visualizing, or you feel what it would be like to see that, if you allow it to feel real, your brain does not know the difference. So when you meditate or you do this different energy work or subconscious reprogramming work, and you're focusing in on like actually physically releasing these things, or you start to tell yourself a new story about an experience. So for instance, if I am living in a memory of my dad, not showing up sometime because he was busy, and I'm replaying the memory of like, oh, I'm not loved and how defeated and sad I felt, well, that is the reality. That's exactly what I'm holding on to, and my brain clings to that, right? But if I start to visualize a different story, even if it's not real, but I start to visualize, oh, he actually showed up and like we ran and he gave me a big hug and I felt so loved and supported and safe. And if I just play that visualization out and get into the energy of that, my brain doesn't know that it's not real. My brain doesn't know that it's like a meditation. It thinks it's really happening, or it starts to become, it starts to think that it was a real memory. And this is where people can actually literally change their realities because they're changing the memory, they're changing the story that they're telling themselves. And when you change that story, so when I no longer play the negative story and I instead envision that he was there and all that love and support, if I change that and I create that as my new story, my new belief, well, there's a lot of rocks that are leaving my backpack by doing that. And I'm gonna have a different level of confidence when I show up in the world, or a different sense of self. And so that's why it's so powerful to do this work on our minds. And this is also what I do a lot of with my clients inside quantum healing, as well as inside my Conquer Your Mind program. So if you're interested in either of those and you want to do this work together, make sure you check out the links down below for both of those programs so you can learn more, and or shoot me a message on Instagram and we can chat and see how I can support you, okay? So your brain doesn't know the difference. Check out that meditation. And then we're going to imprint in the new. And that's really all that the reprogramming is. It's like awareness around what's happening, clearing out the old ways, releasing those blocks, releasing those rocks from your backpack, saying goodbye to them, and then imprinting in the new story, the new beliefs, the new patterns and habits. So the more you can just, constantly be shedding, clearing, releasing. The way I do it is like literally every time I have a limiting belief or a judgment or a past trauma that's triggered or some kind of negative emotion, I am asking myself, well, wait a minute, before I react to this and before I like get pulled into this, what is this teaching me and where did this come from? And then I can go, okay, and now that I can see here are the past experiences or the memories of where it came from, was it actually true or was it a distortion? Did I just create an even bigger belief about myself because of this one moment, or was it 100% true? And with that awareness, then I have the power to shift it, and I have the power to now imprint and create a new belief or a new story that actually supports me in becoming who it is I want to be. So in order to do this, it takes practice, it takes awareness, it takes, consistency, because this is always going to come up forever in all different areas of your life. And I have an amazing 5-day challenge that can help you get started with this. I've had people who have gone through that challenge on repeat because they're just constantly clearing out, focusing in on different things, clearing the negative stuff out, and aligning to their future self, aligning to those ideal patterns and habits and beliefs. So the link for that is down below. All you got to do is enter your name and email to sign up, and then you'll get instant access to day 1 of the challenge with specific meditations, journal practices, and video trainings from me. And again, I cannot reiterate how powerful this is going to be to help you reprogram your subconscious mind, because it takes the practice, it takes the awareness, and it takes the right step-by-step process. If you don't clear this stuff out first, you can't imprint in the new. There's nowhere for it to settle. Your backpack is already full. So you can't just like, I can't even give an example for that. Like, you got to empty the backpack. You got to empty the backpack first to lighten the load, so that then you can start to, really show up as your truest self. If you don't empty the backpack, you can't really change. You can't really get to where it is you want to be. And my perfect example before I finish this video, my perfect reminder of this is like looking at some of the people in the older generations. Shout out, we love you. And they're so stuck in their stories. They're so stuck replaying the same things, the same beliefs, the same negativity, the same judgment, because they haven't ever cleared out the backpack. They've never emptied it. They're still carrying stuff from when they were like 5 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old. I mean, how many people are still telling the same story about like their success in like grade 10 volleyball, or like their university degree or whatever? Like they're still so attached to their past experiences and whatever they believed about themselves, whatever that did to shape their identity. And that can be a blessing or a curse, because more often than not, it keeps people actually very limited to that reality, to that version of themselves. So when you want to achieve massive things and you're ready to break free from those patterns, you need to empty the backpack. And that's where hopefully this video helped, as well as checking out that 5-day challenge. So if you found this helpful, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and don't forget to check out some of these other videos here as well that are going to help you continue to do this work to reprogram your mind and take your power back. Thanks so much for being here. I will see you on the next video.